إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله wabarakatuh. Welcome back to another episode of Records of the Legends. Alhamdulillah, we finished speaking about Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib rahimahullah, but now we're going to speak about someone else. And this character, this individual that we will be speaking about now is someone who is known as the best after all of the prophets and messengers alayhimus salam. And for many of you, you have probably already guessed, the character is Abu Bakr as-Saddiq radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. That is the closest and most beloved companion to the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. He, as we've already mentioned, was known to be the best human, the best individual after the prophets and messengers alayhi salam, after the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and after all the prophets as well. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, his name is Abdullah. That's his first name, if you like. Abu Bakr was a kunya, like a nickname that was given to him, as was the culture and tradition of the Arabs to always give a kunya, usually after the individual's eldest son, for example, saying Abu Abdullah or Abu Muhammad and so on. So he was nicknamed or given the name Abu Bakr. And as-Siddiq, we will come to, inshallah, soon why he was called as-Siddiq. Now his real name that his father named him was Abdullah. His father was Abu Quhafa, who also became Muslim, radiyallahu anhuma. But his real name was Uthman. So Abu Bakr's name is Abdullah ibn Uthman. Of course, if somebody said that to you today, you would probably not know who we're talking about. So Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was born 2 years after the year of the elephant. And for many of you, you already know that something great happened in the year of the elephant. And of course, the greatest thing that happened in that year was the birth of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. For those of you who have been listening to the show, the year of the elephant was named so because of Abraha, who came to invade Mecca, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the birds to drop the stones onto his army, and they were perished. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected his house, the Kaaba, in Makkah al-Mukarramah. So coming to Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, he was born 2 years after the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so he was 2 years younger. He was a very honest, trustworthy person. So he was a businessman. He traveled to many places, even outside the Arabian Peninsula. And alhamdulillah, he was someone who was known for his honesty, his integrity. So the people loved him because of that, because they knew they can, speak with him. They knew they can, deal with him in a good way. So he already had a good reputation. Not only that, he was also educated in the field of lineage. So there wasn't a single family except that he knew the lineage of that person. For example, what the name of his father is, the name of his father. Like the Prophet's father's name is Abdullah, then his name is Abdul Muttalib, and so on and so on. And of course, they were from Banu Hashim and so on. So he would not only know the names of their fathers, but of course he would know the history as well. The history, and that was very, very important because people took pride in their tribe, in the name of their family, their tribes, their forefathers. That was their pride. So it's very valuable to have that information. Why? One, because you can use it to make your relationship better, to praise someone, oh, the sons of such a great individual, and they will become happy. Like, oh, yes, 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 he was of our forefathers, yes. You know, to use it in a positive way, and of course, in a negative way, through media, as we'll come to soon, how that knowledge was used. Though Abu Bakr as-Saddiq never himself abused anyone or used that information negatively, it was needed later on when people started to use this kind of media in that age against the Muslims and so on. And inshallah, we'll come to that soon. So Abu Bakr Siddiq was a friend to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which shows, as we know from the hadith, that your brother, your friend, is like a mirror to you. And as many of the Salaf, may Allah have mercy upon them, used to say, you know a person by his friends. So Abu Bakr Siddiq was what we know as a muwahhid. Muwahhid is somebody who worships Allah alone. So in this atmosphere where there are hundreds of idols in the Kaaba, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq and very few among the people of Quraysh have realized and understood that these idols cannot benefit me, cannot benefit themselves, they cannot eat, they cannot drink. If they cannot benefit themselves or protect themselves, then how can they benefit me? How can they protect me? And so this has always been the way of the Abrahamic religion, Ibrahim alayhi salam, which of course was the Arabs' forefathers. As we know, the picture of Ibrahim alayhi salam was painted in the Kaaba as well. And of course, the Prophet Muhammad, even though he sees Ibrahim alayhi salam like, a kind of senior figure, as we know from this of the hadith of Mi'raj, he known him as his father rather than saying akhi. I need to check that as well. But he knew him as that because the Arabs were descendants of Ibrahim alayhi salam. As we know, that's why they say even if you you abuse the Arabs, that is also a form of anti-Semitism, because why? They come from the same lineage. One side you have Ishaq alayhi salam, and the other side you have Ismail alayhi salam. Now from Ishaq alayhi salam came his son Yaqub alayhi salam, then his son Yusuf alayhi salam, and of course this kind of line had the Banu Israel, and that's where all the prophets came. Now on the side of Ismail alayhi salam, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam came. Okay, and he was foretold in the scriptures. But coming back to where we are, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was friends with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and the Prophet knew him well. And we'll in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, when they went to Medina and so on, I don't want to forget, so I'll mention it now, that Abu Bakr as-Siddiq's knowledge of the lineage was used to defend Islam. Through the likes of Hassan ibn Thabit, who was a great poet. So he would use his poetry to defend Islam and to criticize those tribes as well, using the information that he got from Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, because they were abusing, they were actually doing poetries that were very bad against women and against the Muslims and so on. So Hassan ibn Thabit will take that information from Abu Bakr and give that back to them. A befitting response, media against media. So Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, he, as we mentioned, was a successful businessman as well. And he, in Islam, when he had a great position, he was the Khalifa of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When the Prophet ﷺ, asked one morning, who is it that has visited the sick? Umar ibn Khattab was saying, it's still dawn time, it's still Fajr, we're still in the morning. Of all the people, Abu Bakr Siddiq, put his hand up saying, yes, I did. Prophet ﷺ mentioned, who has visited a sick? Who has, and then I asked again, who has prayed or followed a funeral procession? Abu Bakr Siddiq again answered in the affirmative. Then there were many people who did that. but it was only Abu Bakr as-Siddiq who put his hand up for every single one of them. He mentioned, who has fed the poor? And he mentioned these things, and Umar was like, in another narration, Umar was like, it's still Fajr, it's still the morning, and Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was saying, I have. And at the end of all that, the Prophet Muhammad said, whoever these qualities combines, whenever these qualities combine in one man, that man is a person of paradise. Now, Abu Bakr Siddiq was a great individual. In the time of, in the Meccan period, the first of the 23 years, the first 13 years was in Mecca. Then the last 10 years are known as the Medinan period after the Hijrah. Now, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was someone who saw that Islam is the truth. He knew the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and one of the reasons he is as-Siddiq, he didn't get the laqab, the nickname now, he got it later. But as soon as the Prophet Muhammad said to him that he is a prophet, because Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was already looking for the truth, already believing that there's one God and only, La ilaha illallah, that there's no God except Allah. He knew the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam because of his nature. He was known in the community as Al-Amin, the trustworthy. He was the only one that did not hesitate to become Muslim. Others may have thought about it or hesitated a little bit. Let me think about it. But Abu Bakr Siddiq, as soon as the Prophet Muhammad called upon him to embrace Islam, he embraced Islam. And he was the first free man who embraced Islam. Of course, the first woman was Khadija, the wife of the Prophet Muhammad. The first child was Ali ibn Abi Talib. And the first slave was Zayd ibn Haritha. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with all of them. And Abu Bakr, he saw eventually that he knew that this was the truth, and he started to call people to the truth. And through Abu Bakr, just look at how great he is. Look at the kind of people who became Muslim through him. He called people to Islam, great individuals, and look at the status of the individuals, of the Ashratul Mubashara. People became Muslim because of him. Uthman ibn Affan, and inshallah a few more, but I will tell you the rest inshallah after this short break. So stick around inshallah, and we'll see you soon right after this small break. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to our show, Records of the Legends. And we will now continue speaking about the greatest individual and the greatest Sahabi, the greatest person after the Prophets and Messengers, alayhi salam, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. So we mentioned he gave da'wah to certain individuals, and the individuals he brought to Islam, or Allah brought to Islam through him, were indeed some of the greatest individuals ever. Uthman ibn Affan is someone we mentioned, Ibn Affan radiallahu anh, the third Khalifa, and known as the third best after Abu Bakr, Umar, and then there's Uthman, and then of course after him is Ali radiallahu anhum. He called Uthman ibn Affan to Islam. Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah. He brought Talha ibn Ubaidullah and Abdurrahman ibn Auf. What's common with these four? With these four, they are, along with Abu Bakr, of the Ashratul Mubashara, the 10 that were given reoccurringly the promise that they will be in Jannah while they were living on this planet. And of course, the reason why I said reoccurringly, meaning again and again, because there were other people who were given the promise that there will be the other people of Jannah, like Abdullah ibn Salam, and there were other Sahaba as well. They were given that promise while they were on this earth, but maybe only on a one-off. The Asharatul Mubashara were known, they had high position, and the kind of them were people who kept getting this good news that they will be of the people of Jannah. So Abu Bakr Siddiq would call upon these great individuals. There's Uthman ibn Maz'un as well, radiallahu an, and many other great individuals became Muslim through him. Something else great about Abu Bakr Siddiq, and inshallah there are many hadiths on the fadl of the virtues of Abu Bakr, and we will definitely go through them and we will mention some more, but we don't want to fill the whole first episode with just the hadith about him. So Abu Bakr Siddiq, he saw that the Muslims in Mecca were in great difficulty. And as we know that there were two hijras to Abyssinia. So they immigrated to Abyssinia. And then of course, when some of them came back because they heard that the people of Mecca became Muslim, they thought they'll come back, and then they went back again to Abyssinia because the news was false. They were still idol worshippers. And Abu Bakr Siddiq saw that those who still remained in Mecca, the weak people, there were people who had protection of their tribes. Like the Prophet Muhammad, he had protection of his tribe. Abu Bakr was rich, he was well known, he was a strong character. He had the protection of his tribe, Banu Taym, as well. But there were slaves. Their masters would torture them. There were weak people who had no allegiance with family, because if you did not have family, then you would have to have a kind of allegiance with a family so that you are under their protection. And there were many people, many individuals that became Muslim that did not have this protection. And so they were harmed, they were tortured, they were beaten, and some were killed. Abu Bakr Siddiq, when he saw this, he started to buy those slaves and then free them for the sake of Allah. So he would buy them for more than their worth, and then he would free them for the sake of Allah, saying, now you're free. And of course, now he's under his protection as well, because he is known as his freed slave. Okay, so now he's protected. It's not like nobody can, everyone's going to harm him just like they did before. Not anymore, because now this family, a member of this family, Banu Taym, Abu Bakr, have bought him. He's a Muslim. He's bought him and he freed him. Now you are a free man. Practice your religion freely and under protection, inshallah. One of these stories is Bilal ibn Rabah. May Allah be pleased with him. He was a slave of Umayyah ibn Khalaf. So Abu Bakr said, why do you torture this person? You know, what are you getting out of this? He would put him on the boiling hot sand when the sun was at its zenith and put a big heavy rock on top of him so he can't move. He's pressed upon that. They would have the children, some of the young ones, drag him through Makkah upon the rocks, upon the volcanic rocks that are on the two sides of Medina. For anyone who's flying over Medina, if you look out the window, inshallah, you'll be able to see it. And he said, I'll buy him off you. So Umayyah gave him a ridiculous price. Ridiculous. And you know, he wouldn't have sold him otherwise. So Abu Bakr Siddiq said, you know what, I'll give you this much for him. He said, this much? So Umayyah, he wouldn't have sold him initially. Abu Bakr was like, I'll give you this much money for him. He said, for this slave, this much? He said, all right then. He took the money because of course his greed was so much. And then Abu Bakr Siddiq saved Bilal from that torture, saved his life potentially, and freed him, let him go, and so saved him from this torture. And he did that many times over. So not only did he call people upon Islam, but he even saved those who were weak. to the extent that his father Abu Quhafa, he said to him, why don't you just buy, strong slaves? That way you can protect yourself. You'll have strong, like your own private guards around you. But Abu Bakr Siddiq, you see, this is why people can't understand. There was one sheikh who said to us, I can't understand Abu Bakr. He said, I can't understand his lofty status, his virtue. Just like, how is Umar? How are the other Sahabi? And then Abu Bakr is meant to be way above that. And inshallah, we'll read some hadith later in the next few episodes to understand this. So some just say we can't truly understand his status. He was so great. Abu Bakr, in the time of when there was the night of Al-Mi'raj, when the Prophet ﷺ went all the way to Jerusalem and prayed in Masjid al-Aqsa, led the Prophets in prayers, went to Jannah and back, and came to Mecca. Now the Prophet ﷺ was initially depressed about this, and he was thinking, how can I tell the people about it? Eventually the Prophet ﷺ told the people about it. And of course, as he suspected, they were mocking him and they were putting the Muslims to test. So they ran to Abu Bakr and they said, have you heard what your companion is saying? He's saying he went to, they were kind of mocking and, coming on him like this. He said he went to Jerusalem and back in one night. It's a month journey, he's coming back in one night. He went there and back in one night. What do you say about that? Abu Bakr Siddiq said, if he said, he's saying that? And they said, yeah, he's saying that. Now go listen to him. I said, if he said that, then he's speaking the truth. And that's when he was called as-Saddiq, because he confirmed the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he said, I believe something greater than that. I believe revelation come to him all the way from heaven and back. Yeah, come to us from heaven and then go back. Angels come with news all the way from heaven, and you think I'm going to be shocked that he went to Jerusalem and back? He said, I believe something much greater than that. And that's when he was known as as-Saddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu. The Prophet ﷺ kept him, would see Abu Bakr Siddiq. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha reported in Bukhari that Prophet ﷺ would usually go see him either in the morning or in the evening. So the time the time was hard, and Abu Bakr Siddiq himself is reported that he himself was going to do hijrah to Abyssinia. And of course, on the way out of Mecca, one of the people of Mecca actually passed him and said, where are you going? And he mentioned that I'm leaving Mecca, the people have harmed the Muslims, harmed me, and I'm going for this reason. And he said, that person said, an individual like you should not be treated like this. Of course, we mentioned Abu Bakr Siddiq, his character, his importance in the Meccan society. He was someone who was known and beloved to the people. And so he took him back and he gave him protection. Of course, the Quraysh, because he was under his protection, they complained to him later because Abu Bakr, he started to pray in the courtyard of his house. He made a small musalla masjid for himself, and he was praying there, and the women and the children were looking at that, and they said, no, we want his religion to be private. You said he was under your protection on the condition that he will keep his religion to himself, and so on, so on, so on. And so he said, all right, let me go speak to him. He went to speak to Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, and Abu Bakr as-Siddiq said, then if that's the case, I give my protection back to you and finish these conditions. The protection of Allah is enough for me. And we need to also discuss what Ali ibn Abi Talib said. He asked the question, who is better? The Fir'aun al-Mu'min, the believing Fir'aun, the believing man of the Fir'aun's family, which you will be able to read about in the Quran, Surah Al-Ghafir, I believe, Surah Al-Ghafir. And he said, who is better, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq or the believing man of the Fir'aun family? And you will find out the answer to that question, inshallah, in the next episode. وسبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.